is tell you how important communication. I will tell you small so that you can perhaps leave a lasting impression in mind. There was once a program in the radio, and that radio program, it was an open question answer set where Henry Ford, the famous guy of Ford Motors, was sitting, was taking audience. Then there was a little girl called him up. It was like dial and talk with Ford. Called him up and asked him, Mr. Ford, kind of known that you run the biggest show of automobiles in the world, but you know little about cars. So, and he picked up the question and answered honest, clear way. Said, yes, what you say is true, right. I perhaps know less about cars where I have a leading, but you know what? You can ask me a question, anything about the car, and I can revert back to you an answer, one or two. And you know the reason is I will first send your question, then I know the expert. Get back to her or him, get the answer, understand it in my way, and make it understandable your way. That's how I am. That's how I run. So you can see how important is able to get your idea, have capacity to learn, and have the capacity to be able to assimilate and then transfer knowledge. So your idea, first of all, has to be crystal clear to your own self. And then you express it in your words and make the other person also realize it. But because communication, in a way, kind of a four-layer process. First is thought, coming up, mind, transfer of information, going to the next mind, then assimilate the second person, and then starts, right? So it's very, very important. And what is also important process that have an, now what is that? That means someone is speaking and you are just there because you have to, right? But you are not listening. You are just not listening because you think, fine, guy is talking, let's talk. I'll about my own. And that's not perhaps the way how, what is active listening? Active listening or attentively, full attention person, and in course of that might want to take down notes, might want to intervene, ask questions, and make the point that the other person also, and then you have a new wave of communication that is being by overlap. And in so new enthusiasm for the speaker. And of course, it's a both-way process. Hear anything what I said, right? So the speaker has to be enthusiastic. So when you are speaking, you have to be enthusiastic. You have to be enthusiastic. And I liked what Kari said in one of the lectures, the young members of my group, that you have to be enthusiastic, and you are the best guy who knows this, your thing. So if your level of enthusiasm is like this, or if you are choking from time to time, or if you are shaking, and it naturally happens. So first time when you go out, it naturally happens. But your enthusiasm, very, very, if you are enthused, if you are charged, you are curious, then that's where you connect. And that's how you open up. And all this practice. So you need continuous practice, able, and there will be failures. And the failures are very, very difficult. But then, German, there is a kind of a doll as GIANxEFAML. The dolls, you can hit them, they go to the ground, then they bounce back. Hit them, go to the ground, they bounce back. This type of mindset, for the scientists who are there, you send it to a journal, and we all know it, gets back. Age, duration gets longer, or sometimes the rejections. But in the process of takeoff, there's lots and lots of, and you have to be able to first act. So it's not a question of how hard try, it's a question of how long you have to persist. I'll tell you my own story of failure. So right now, most of you, I think, can understand me, right? Most of you. And my English kind of okay for you to be. When I was a young guy, I was very much like to, and I used to take part. This is for the local people to understand. When you are young, there are many fests, right? This festival. Universities have, Jadavpur has its own fest, Xavier's has its own fest, Presi has its own fest. All these, either Kolkata has its own fantastic fest, and and then in those fests, participate. And I sometimes would get prize, sometimes would not get prize, but that participation, that was very enticing and very exciting for me. So it once happened that there was a fantastic competition, one of the colleges where I went, and it was on Swami Vivek. So I struggled, wrote a lot of things, crammed it up, memorized it, went on to the stage, said the first sentence very clearly, and all I could see were the lights there, and a lot of heads. And then I totally choked. I lost my voice totally. And then that was it. I was maybe 13 years old, and then I came down the stage. I was shattered, and then that was it. But then from 13 till 21, 8 years, I could not even speak properly. Person in class or some proper way. My grandfather was a person have this gathering, and he invited me on anything because he said he realized it, and he realized that it's a problem. So there was a gathering of around 50 people in a nice hall like type, but it was in a family setting, so I knew all the people. And there, for the first time after 8 years, I could. I had a small piece of paper where I wrote down the points. Then I spoke without almost. Sometimes I saw it was okay, and that gave me the confidence, kind of back again. And I was a student of Bengali medium, and I studied till 12 Bengali. Yes, I was also speaking Bengali. I was not speaking. There are people from Xavier's knows that, yeah, you can very well in Xavier without speaking much English. So that was not, I started reading much English Delhi. Then, so the basic point, what I want to tell you, someone like would have survived shock after 8 years, bounce back, who are much smarter than should be able, and that's where your perseverance pays off. Like writing, writing, always. And then you have to understand others. Most of the time, communication or understanding goes wrong because we don't try to understand the other person in her shoe or in, because everyone having their own pattern and everyone has their own priority. Maybe the person who perhaps was not that nice or not that kind with, perhaps going through stuff in her own life. And that's what sharpness. So if you can develop a mindset that I want to understand the other person's perspective, then you could, then your reactions perhaps change and your approach will, because the moment your approach changes, the other person automatically, because most of the time there are these mirror neurons or in our brains which are with empathy. In fact, always want to receive, always want to receive. If you are nice, get a nice reaction. If you are not so nice, difficulties. And that's what happens. So you need to think about the other person. But then when you are a professor or when you are a leader of a group or when you are a person in business who has to be responsible for many people, there when you grow to that status, draw lines. And you need to draw lines in a proper way without violating what I have been. So I will tell you another story of Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab was working for Bethlehem's company and was one of the top guys in steel industry, and he was paid in millions when there was it was an outstanding. And I tell you this story how Schwab dealt with a situation where there was violation of principle. So once he was working in Bethlehem's company, and it was written there that do not speak. And then he found three co-workers or colleagues standing there. He was passing by them, stopped, and then he said something. What you would have said, something would. You are the big boss of the company, blatant violation of rule in front of your own eye. What you would say? Okay, so you are not interactive. I'll give you three possible answers. One is perhaps be mad and tell them off. Harsh with, tell them. That is authoritative. You might be scared or or worried for other things. Don't tell them anything. Third thing, might address the problem on it. That's it. Stopped by, the answer was like this. Stopped by, he was a very polite person, very polite but very firm. And that is something which also, you can think about it, light but firm, and to the You know what? You are smoking cigarettes. I love smoking cigars. So I have fantastic cigars to you. But on one condition, next time, don't smoke where in the premise where it's written that I'll come and join. So it's drawing the line, space for the other person, make it acceptable, and then driving it forward. So like that, when you are in a research team or when you are in a research, there are certain things that you should honest have to hear cordial, and you have to open about what you are doing. But then when there is a violation or you are leading a, otherwise it becomes like the child running towards a rushing bus and you're not doing anything. That what happens to that little boy or little girl? That person destroyed by the bus. Analogy. So as a PI, have to be here and also for your person when you works like what you have, a lot of effort, systematic effort, multiple people. That's where interpersonal skills become important, and they have to be interactive. There has to be clear guidelines how you do it. So when I will give you the project to do, and Kari, we will look around with Tosif and Nidhi. So we will look over you, and we want to see you discussing, but not fighting. Not my opinion and your opinion. You don't follow my opinion, then you can take the highway. No, not like that. So you have to be accommodative towards difference of opinion, then come up with a better opinion, which is perhaps neither yours nor the other person. And that's how new merge in, because when you are in team, nice thing, and you have an eye for detail. So when you do the project, when you are looking at a crystal structure, or when you are looking at a spectroscopy, have to be very, very careful so that you don't miss out on. And details are where the devils or where golden lie. That's what mind. There is a story of Roosevelt. So President Roosevelt had ordered a car, quite nice, and Chamberlain, that time the chief of car company, not only delivered the car, he had a box with the name Boston. And the president had a look, whole thing. Finally, thanked Chamberlain that done its kind of cost on this trunk of the car. This is the level of finesse and eyes for details the leader has. The leader is, and leader is not someone who is someone who just by her way of her way, other person, her way. You don't have to be, but I think you hear something from Kari as later on after the top, and you will voice with perhaps, and that's true for anyone, because whenever you see people who have scaled heights, they have an eye for, and if you do not have your own eye for detail, make sure your team have someone as this and protect you from your blind. So that's another point, very much aware of. You can ask your friends whom you trust, because this is very, very, very important, because it goes to you, and your heart, because it's your drive. One has to be candid and frank and ask your, can tell you without hurting that these are your, and when you get to, and as it is said in Buddhism, Gautam Buddha, that the moment you are aware of eyes, because you will be. So these are the few things I wanted. And again, these are not shortcuts, but these are the attributes and things. And if you read direct and then practice, then wonderful, from this 40 people out there, one person comes someone very, someone fine. That day, consider what it. And it's a long journey. Have at least realize it's a shortcut. But then, and at times you will see process when you follow, because it's a process. Follow this process, find it very odd in that life's very, very difficult, very different, all because you're doing an uphill journey. But then, always, as I've said, don't forget to thoughts. When you are up there, 5 years time, back what you were 5 years before, and I'm sure find a positive. There might be some dip. Actually, the growth curve is like this, right? So you go up, then again there will be a dip, trying something different. Again, you have to start, go on, try more. So this, I will stop a break, and I would like to tell you that there is out there is design thing that is in a way nine, follow it up, rigorous and honest follow up, and then course of this, or you, and when you that place where there 5 years, perhaps you are struggling, that it was the part of the process where you are growing. It's exactly like solving a structure. You are halfway, find some ugly structure. The idea is not to get carried away, but to open brain, open mind, solve it until the beautiful structure emerges. Life is like this. And with this kind of design thinking, can have a new station where there are the next part, and then we'll start you, where you will be flying, hopefully in a very short span of 1 hour, try to come up with new idea, and it will work not but in, and in these groups will have people other that has to merge. That's the idea, because everyone have their own strengths. group idea is that even in a short span of time, diverse people, and you will see that how nice projects. I stop. Now I would like to, Kari, or if you have questions, ask me. Yeah. Thank you.
For these really thoughtful words. And I can just compliment and say everything that him, that becoming something is not an easy way, because when you don't know, start from this point, which point you end up. But in science, of course, is the idea is that we have to have a target, we have to have the ideas, we have to have the knowledge. When we have it, this is what we are doing. We are studying. When we have studied enough, then this information, it matures in your brain, your head, and so on. You get ideas, you're learning, you are starting to open your view, start seeing broader. At the beginning, you might look here in this room, the one chair. Then there, learn more, you start looking further, looking more, you see, there's a row of chairs. And then it gets further and further, you learn more, you study a little bit more, and then realize, okay, there are additional rows of chairs in here. And that happens to a certain point, but then there will be something interesting happening. Then you realize, it's a lecture hall. It has a function. There is individual components here, like chairs, but then as the individual, they are nothing. But when you join them in a larger thing, a function emerges. And then when we have these, realize that the chairs, the group as a function related to a room, depending on a lecture room, then it means that, okay, what happens inside there is an additional function. So whatever is delivered in the lecture hall, like a function of a function. And then when you go further of this, that creates a circle. And what Shimo was saying, that growing forward in understanding, and as a person, is really like this. So it goes forward, sometimes it goes like this, it sometimes dips down, but in principle go like this. So more you learn, more you're absorbed, the more ideas merges automatically. I can assure you that the beginning is really difficult to jump out from a textbook, let's call it like. You can repeat it. Yes, I can write it down, that I was exactly, the book said that it's this. This is, of course, what we have to do in the beginning. It's actually one of the ideas of my teaching and this course, and so on. Maybe some of the questions were implying that it's not so important to write exactly what is stated somewhere, but to show the understanding that you have. I was understood this, because then the idea is that sometimes repeating something, it's like a copy of something, and then you can repeat the copy, but then it doesn't bring anything else. But if you are able to do it so that you might understand it differently, slightly different, or you understand it exactly how it's meant to be good, then this will not lock you in thinking. And this is the idea that you can actually jump out of the box. Get really an idea, yes, I can do certain things with this kind of idea. This is, of course, if you think about science. Science, we are looking for targets. Let's take here that I really like yesterday, Rahul Banedia's talk about the bamboo stick. And he made a joke. Kari don't understand this. I understand very well. But the point, I don't understand the bamboo sticks, but I understand the very similar things. Because in Finland we have similar sticks like this bamboo, but these are used in the fields to dry hay. So this is cut, the hay is cut, it's put in this long wooden rods piled there, and it's kept in the sun that it gets dry. Then you take it out and put it away. But that's done. It's like a bamboo grows and then it's cut and something is made, and then it lies around. But so happens with these piles when the grass is grown or dry, so it's taken out, and then these are put in a pile or something. And then it's okay that the piles are not useful at all. But then, this is a true story, then the person will take these piles and make a fence out of them. But the actual they use completely different function for that one. It was meant for this, but it was not used anymore. They were lying. We don't anymore dry the hay in this way, and they were lying dormant. Didn't use them anywhere, but they were there. And there, somebody come. Okay, maybe I'll start taking and putting in this direction like this. I will build a fence. You can find these fences. The fence is called according to this wooden part, but it has a specific. And everybody then knows what is this. You don't have to describe, you just fence of that. Everybody knows. And it has specific structure and so on. It's not crisscrossed like this. They're always in a certain point. And the emphasis is here that you have a lot of these here in front of you. Already have them. But the idea is to try to look them from the different angle. Try to look them not the normal way, to look it from the thing in here. I know that maybe you know that there is a famous cartoon, American. It's called Garfield, and it's a little cat kind of a thing. It's a little bit stuffy, so it's a little bit like a round. And there's always poked about this, and they said, okay, I'm not overweight, I'm under tall. So that is another way of looking things. So the idea is there that you have a different, you're looking at the same thing but a different eyes. You can describe it differently. This can then bring up new ideas. Like now, I think we will do this later on, that I'm not sure how Jamal has been thinking about this. Are you given a target to look on it? Or will you decide yourself within a group to look into something which is now based on what you have been hearing, or it also could be something completely different. So you could think about, okay, I was inspired by this course of thinking, let's do it like this. Maybe you have something on your mind already, and then it's okay, yes. And then your group agrees that yes, okay, let's now think about that don't use these techniques at all. Let's try to approach that from the different angle. And these all are absolutely acceptable. It's actually the idea. And don't be scared. These things, we are not expecting Nobel Prize, not yet, but next week. Oh, really? This is what we have been doing also similar exercises, my group. And at first, you're completely stuck. You think what to do. But somebody in a group has their why, hey, let's look into this. Would this be an idea? Somebody has to throw the seed in there. And then you start to develop this. Okay, seed comes there will be this, and then becomes a flower. And in this way we work. This is really the idea, this open up the mind of thinking and group thinking and this kind of a thing, especially everything what is said here is very important. Communication. If everybody is there silent, nothing happens. But it's not nice that one person speaks and the other will listen, because then it's not the group. Singular person who has then somebody there surrounding. So discussion, thinking about this kind of a thing, there will be more active speakers and less active speakers. But actually, that is the idea of how it develops. And I could talk like really a lot of these things, but I think the idea is that time is running. We'll have a short, maybe a break now, or coffee break, and then we will start to think. And start thinking of how it would go on. I don't know how the grouping is done. Maybe the organizers will, right? So you from a group. Let's see how it goes. But they have thought about this. So now we will have a break. For how long? At 3 we start, so that is about 7 minutes now. So then we come here at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Everyone, I know you are busy taking pictures, but just one thing to say. Like after all such a like long and tiring session of 5 days, you do need to give one thing to us, a honest feedback. Be it the worst event or be it the best event that you have attended, but whatever it is, just fill out your beans and give us a feedback. And the feedback forms will be distributed later after this. Thank you all. I think the volunteers would also like to participate in this game. So just hunt the volunteers down who are willing to participate. Okay. Dibojyoti and Siva. Dibojyoti, Siva. Yeah, Siva will be allotted group 6 and Dibojyoti will be allotted group 2. Search your teammates, search your group mates. Make it a healthy competition, okay? Okay, try to sit separately. Okay, we have a good enough large hall here. So complete groups are here. I think people are now at the snacks. So Siva, group number 6. Group 6 people. Group 6. This is Siva, one of the volunteers. Okay. Okay. See, a few of the students might be absent or might not be here. So which are the groups with incomplete members? Please, okay, huh? Group 5. How many members? 4 only. You are in 5. Joe. बोला ना, like hunt down your group mates. Trap them in your groups. Group 5. Group 5 complete. Okay, group 1. Okay, let's go by numerical numbers. Group 1. Yeah, just it. Just group 1. Group 1.
Please take your seat the way how you were sitting. Go back. Sit the way how you were sitting. Just a minute. Yeah. Hey. Please take your seat. So what was the feeling for you now with the group design assigned to you? What was the feeling? Okay? Okay. So that's, if it's okay, if it's really okay, then we freeze that. Or if it's not okay, then we can do something. Fine. Okay, how you are sitting. Fine, but I see some changes in the positions. So the changes in the positions are very interesting, and maybe it's whatever. So yeah. So anyway, now I will talk a little about the about innovation funnel, about innovation, and then we'll do the grouping, and then you come up with your own design of a innovative project. That's the idea. It can be, for example, just a minute, I changed the mic. Okay, so now talking about innovation, there are certain ways to get it. A specific certain. We saw telephone user, camera user, mobile phone user, internet user. They all have this problem, right? So this is